The text came through at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Just 4 words that made my coffee cup freeze halfway to my lips. Dad, stop. Call me. Now. My daughter, Emily, never texted like that. She was methodical, precise. Working in cybersecurity had made her careful with words, with urgency, with everything. So when I saw those 4 words, no punctuation, all caps on that last word, my heart started hammering against my ribs. I was standing in my Denver kitchen, the same kitchen where my wife Patricia had made Sunday pancakes for 36 years before the aneurysm took her. 3 years had passed since then. 3 years of learning to sleep alone, to cook for one, to stop reaching for her hand in the supermarket. And then I'd met Amanda. I set down the coffee cup with shaking hands and called Emily. She picked up on the first ring. Dad, where are you right now? Home. Emily, what's going on? Are you alone? Yes, Amanda's at her place. She had an early client meeting. I glanced at the clock. Amanda Chen had texted me goodnight at 11 p.m., said she had to prep for a 7 a.m. consultation. She was a financial advisor, always busy, always professional. Sweetheart, you're scaring me. Good. Dad, I need you to listen very carefully and not interrupt. Can you do that? I nodded, then realized she couldn't see me. Yes. That money you transferred last week. The $150,000 into the joint account you opened with Amanda. I need you to call the bank the second they open and reverse it. My stomach dropped. Emily, I know you have concerns about Amanda, but we've talked about this. Dad, stop. Her voice cracked, and I heard something I hadn't heard since she was 12 years old and found out her best friend had moved away without telling her. I spent the last 72 hours not sleeping. I've been sitting in my apartment running traces, pulling records, calling people, and what I found. She took a shaky breath. Dad, her name isn't Amanda Chen. I sat down hard in one of the kitchen chairs. That's ridiculous. I've seen her driver's license, her business cards. Which name did you see on the license? I tried to remember. We'd gone wine tasting in Napa 6 weeks ago, and she'd shown ID at the vineyard. Amanda. I saw Amanda. Amanda what? What was the last name? I opened my mouth and realized I couldn't remember. Chen. It was Chen. I'm sure of it. Dad. I'm looking at a Colorado driver's license right now. Amanda Louise Chen, Denver address. Issued 3 years ago. It's a fake. A good one, but fake. The real Amanda Chen is a 68-year-old grandmother in Boulder who had her identity stolen in 2021. The kitchen suddenly felt too small, too bright. How did you... I ran her through every database I have access to. Dad, I work in cybersecurity. I know how to find people, and I found her. Her real name is Vanessa Palmer. She's 43, not 45. She's from Phoenix, not San Diego. And Dad, another pause, longer this time. She's married. I laughed. It came out harsh and wrong. That's impossible. She's with me almost every night. She stays over 3-4 times a week. When would she have time for a husband? His name is Derek Palmer. They've been married for 19 years. He lives in Phoenix. I have photos, Dad. I have their marriage certificate. I have property records showing they own a house together in Scottsdale. I have credit card statements showing she flies back and forth every week, always when she tells you she's visiting clients in California. My hands were shaking now. The coffee had gone cold. Outside the kitchen window, I could see Mr. Henderson walking his golden retriever like he did every morning at 7. Everything looked normal. Everything looked like the world I knew. You're wrong, I said, but my voice sounded hollow even to me. You have to be wrong. I wish I was. I heard her moving around, the sound of papers shuffling. Dad, I'm going to send you some things. I need you to look at them. But first, I need you to promise me you won't confront her until we have a plan. These people, Dad, this is what they do. They're professionals. If you tip her off, she'll disappear with that $150,000 and you'll never see it again. These people? Emily, what are you talking about? I found 2 other men, both in their 60s, both widowed within the last 5 years. One in Seattle, one in Austin. She took $340,000 from the Seattle man, His name is Robert Morrison. I called him yesterday. He thought her name was Christine Davis, that she was a real estate consultant. She convinced him to invest in a property development deal. The property didn't exist. I couldn't breathe. The kitchen walls were closing in. The Austin man is named Frank Hutchison. He thought she was Melissa Reeves, an art dealer. She got $180,000 from him for a gallery investment opportunity. Dad, are you hearing me? This is what she does. She finds lonely widowers with money, and she takes everything. The $150,000, I whispered. That was from Patricia's life insurance. It was supposed to be for retirement, for emergencies. I know, Dad, that's why you need to call the bank at 9 a.m. sharp and tell them it was unauthorized. Tell them you want the transfer reversed immediately. The account is less than 30 days old. You might be able to get it back. She said we needed it for the down payment. On the condo in Breckenridge, we were going to retire there together. She had all the paperwork. There is no condo. I checked. The address she showed you? It's a development that went bankrupt in 2019. The land is sitting empty. I put my head in my hands. 6 months. I'd known her for 6 months. Met her at a grief support group at the community center, of all places. She'd been so understanding, so patient. She'd lost her husband to cancer, she said. She understood the loneliness, the empty house, the way grief could hollow you out. It had all been a lie. Emily, why did you even start looking? Because I'm your daughter, and I pay attention. Her voice softened. Dad, you were happy. For the first time since Mom died, you were actually happy, and I wanted that for you so badly. But something felt off. The way she always had her phone face down. The way she'd leave the room to take calls. How she never wanted to video chat when she was traveling. And then 2 weeks ago, when I visited, I saw her credit card. What about it? The name on it was V. Palmer, not A. Chen. She covered it fast, said it was her business account, used her middle name for professional purposes. But it bothered me. So I started digging. I heard a ping on my phone. I just sent you a folder. 16 files, photos, documents, everything I found. Dad, I need you to look at them. I need you to see what I'm seeing. My hand was shaking so badly, I almost dropped the phone. I opened the message, tapped on the first image. It was a wedding photo. Amanda Vanessa in a white dress, looking 20 years younger, standing next to a man with a square jaw and thinning hair. They were on a beach somewhere, palm trees in the background. She was looking at him the same way she looked at me. The second photo was recent. Same man, same woman, at what looked like a backyard barbecue. She was wearing the silver bracelet I'd given her for her birthday last month. The third was a marriage certificate. Vanessa Marie Palmer and Derek James Palmer married the 14th of June, 2006, in Maricopa County, Arizona. I scrolled through the rest in numb silence. Property records, tax documents, photos of her with Derek at restaurants, at the Grand Canyon, at someone's wedding, a picture of her in front of a house in Scottsdale, the address matching the property records. And then the last file, a screenshot of an email. Derek, back in Denver for the week. The mark is ready. Moving $150K on Monday. Should have access to the rest of his $401K by end of month. House equity is trickier, but I'm working on it. This one's worth at least $800K total if I play it right. See you Friday. Love you. V. The mark. That's what I was. A mark. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. When I came back, Emily was still on the line. Dad? Dad? Are you there? I'm here. My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. I'm getting on a plane. I'll be there by 1 p.m. Don't do anything until I get there, okay? Don't call her. Don't text her. Don't confront her. Act normal. Can you do that? She's supposed to come over tonight. We were going to make dinner together. Perfect. That gives me time. Dad, we're going to fix this. We're going to get your money back, and we're going to make sure she can't do this to anyone else. But I need you to trust me. Can you do that? I looked around my kitchen. The coffee maker Patricia had picked out at Target 12 years ago. The dish towel hanging on the oven handle that said World's Best Dad, Emily, had given it to me for Father's Day when she was 16. the small dent in the wall where I'd bumped it moving the refrigerator. And Patricia had laughed and said it gave the kitchen character. This was my life, my real life, and I'd almost let a stranger take all of it. I trust you, I said. Good. Now call the bank. I'll text you exactly what to say. The next 6 hours were the longest of my life. I called the bank at 9:01 a.m. and spoke to a manager named Sharon who listened to my halting explanation and put me on hold for 17 minutes. When she came back, her voice was careful, professional. Mr. Brennan, I'm afraid the transfer has already been processed into the joint account. However, given that the account was opened so recently and you're reporting potential fraud, we can freeze it immediately while we investigate. No withdrawals will be permitted without both account holders present with valid identification. Do it, I said. Freeze it all. I'll need you to come in and file a formal dispute. Can you be here this afternoon? Yes, thank you. I hung up and sat in my living room, staring at nothing. At 9:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. Amanda. Good morning, handsome. Client meeting ran long, but thinking about you. Still on for dinner tonight? I'll bring wine. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Emily had sent me a script. Me. Sounds perfect. Can't wait to see you. What time? Amanda. 6:30? I'm craving your famous pot roast. Me. You got it. I set the phone down and felt dirty, like I was the one lying. At 1:15 p.m., Emily knocked on my door. She looked exhausted, her usually neat ponytail messy, dark circles under her eyes. She was carrying a laptop bag and a box of files. Dad. She hugged me hard. I held on longer than I meant to. I can't believe I was so stupid. You weren't stupid. You were lonely. She's a professional. This is what she does. Emily pulled back and looked at me. Did you freeze the account? Yes. I have to go to the bank this afternoon to file the dispute. Good. Now, we need to prep for tonight. I'm going to be here, but she can't know that. I'll set up in the guest room with my laptop. I need you to get her talking, get her to incriminate herself. Can you do that? Emily. I don't think I can sit across from her and pretend. You have to. Dad, if we do this right, we don't just get your money back. We stop her from doing this to someone else. Robert Morrison in Seattle, he lost everything. His house, his savings, all of it. He's living with his son now. Frank Hutchison in Austin had a breakdown. The money she took was his late wife's medical fund that he'd been saving to donate to the hospital that cared for her. Rage, hot and sudden, flooded through me. She told me her husband died of cancer. She cried about it. I held her while she cried. Truce, I know. And none of it was real. But we can make this right. Emily opened her laptop. I've been in touch with a detective in Phoenix. Her name is Maria Santos. She's been trying to build a case against Vanessa Palmer for 2 years, but hasn't had enough evidence. Until now. What do you need me to do? She pulled out a small device, no bigger than a pen. This is a recording device. You're going to keep it in your pocket during dinner. I need you to get her to talk about the money, about the condo, about your plans. The more specific, the better. Can you do that? I took the device. It was heavier than it looked. Yes. And Dad? I'm sorry. I know you cared about her. I thought I loved her. The words came out quiet. I thought Patricia would have wanted me to be happy. I thought maybe I got a second chance. Emily squeezed my hand. You did get a second chance. You have people who love you enough to tell you the truth, even when it's hard. That's the second chance. At 6:28 p.m., Amanda knocked on my door. She was wearing the blue dress I'd told her looked beautiful, carrying a bottle of Pinot Noir and a small bouquet of flowers. When I opened the door, she smiled that smile that had made me feel alive again. There's my favorite person, she said, kissing my cheek. Every cell in my body wanted to slam the door in her face. Instead, I smiled back. Come in. Pot roast is almost ready. She breezed past me, setting the wine and flowers on the counter. It smells amazing in here. How was your day? Quiet. Ran some errands. You? Busy. I had 3 client meetings and a conference call with a firm in New York. They want me to consult on a portfolio restructuring. It could mean traveling more, but the money would be incredible. She turned to me, eyes bright. Which reminds me, I heard back from the realtor about the Breckenridge condo. My heart hammered. The recording device felt like it weighed 10 pounds in my pocket. Oh? They accepted our offer. Richard, we got it. The closing is set for 3 weeks from now. She threw her arms around me. We're going to have our mountain retreat. I can't believe this is really happening. I forced myself to hug her back. That's wonderful. But Amanda, I have to ask the down payment. That was a lot of money. I know, baby. But it's an investment in our future. Once we sell this place, we'll have more than enough. And the rental income from the condo when we're not using it will be substantial. Trust me. I've run the numbers 100 times. About that. I pulled back gently. I was thinking maybe we should slow down. Maybe I should talk to a financial advisor first. Get a second opinion. Her face changed, just for a second. A flicker of something cold and calculating. Then it was gone, replaced by concern. Richard, I am a financial advisor. That's literally what I do for a living. Don't you trust my professional judgment? Of course I do, but it's a lot of money. And Emily mentioned. Emily. Amanda's voice went tight. Your daughter doesn't like me, Richard. We both know that. She thinks I'm trying to replace her mother, which is insane. I would never presume to do that. She's just protective. She's jealous. You were alone and miserable, and now you're happy, and she can't handle that you've moved on. Amanda took my hands. Baby, I love you. I want to build a life with you. But if your daughter is going to sabotage this relationship every step of the way, maybe we need to have a serious conversation about boundaries. The recording device was running. I needed more. You're right, I said, hating every word. I'm sorry. I'm just nervous. It's been so long since I made decisions like this with anyone. Her expression softened. I know. And I love that you're careful. But Richard, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've helped hundreds of clients build wealth. When I say the Breckenridge property is a smart investment, you can trust me, she smiled. Besides, once we're married, it'll all be ours together anyway. Married? Well, yes. I mean, we haven't talked about it officially, but she squeezed my hands. Isn't that where we're headed? Or am I being presumptuous? My mouth was dry. No, you're not. I just didn't know you'd thought about it. Of course I have. Richard, you're the first man since my husband died who's made me feel like I could have a future. A real future. I know it's fast, but when you're our age, why wait? We know what we want. What about your family? You never talk about them. Another flicker of that cold look. They don't approve of me dating so soon after losing my husband. They thought I should stay in mourning longer. It's one reason I moved to Denver, to get away from all that judgment. Right. You said you grew up in San Diego. I did. But after Michael died, I just needed a fresh start somewhere new. Of course, I turned back to the stove, checking the pot roast. Dinner's ready. Should we eat? We sat at the dining room table, the same one Patricia and I had bought at an estate sale in 1995. Amanda poured wine and talked about the Breckenridge condo, describing the layout, the views, the nearby hiking trails. She painted a picture of our future. Morning coffee on the deck, afternoon hikes, quiet evenings by the fireplace. It would have been beautiful if any of it had been real. I was thinking, she said, cutting into her pot roast. Once we close on the condo, maybe we should look at putting this house on the market too. The Denver real estate market is still strong. We could easily get $600,000, maybe more. Add that to your 401k, my investments, and we'd be set for a very comfortable retirement. There it was, the whole play. That's smart thinking, I managed, though I'd hate to sell this place. Patricia and I raised Emily here. I know, baby, but it's time to make new memories, don't you think? This house is full of ghosts. You deserve to look forward, not backward. We finished dinner. She helped me clean up, laughing and telling stories about difficult clients. At 9:30, she kissed me goodnight at the door. See you Thursday? She asked. Absolutely. I love you, Richard. I love you too. The words tasted like ash. I closed the door and leaned against it. After a moment, I heard movement from upstairs. Emily emerged from the guest room, Detective Santos's number already dialed on her phone. I got everything. she said quietly. Dad, you did great, but I didn't feel great. I felt old and foolish, and so tired I could barely stand. Detective Santos arrived at 7 a.m. the next morning with 2 officers. They arrested Vanessa Palmer, Amanda Chen, Christine Davis, Melissa Reeves, and half a dozen other names as she was leaving her apartment building. She was still wearing her workout clothes, heading to her morning Pilates class. The look on her face when she saw them wasn't shock or fear. It was annoyance, like they'd interrupted something important. They found $340,000 in various accounts, including my $150,000. They found fake IDs, fake business cards, fake credentials. They found a storage unit in Aurora filled with files on targets, men she'd scammed, men she was currently scamming, men she was researching to scam next. My file was 3 inches thick. Detective Santos said it was one of the most extensive romance fraud operations she'd ever seen. Vanessa had been doing this for at least 12 years. The total amount stolen was over $4 million. Derek Palmer was arrested in Phoenix. He wasn't just her husband, he was her partner. He set up the fake companies, created the false identities, laundered the money. They had a system perfected over more than a decade. The DA offered me a victim impact statement at the sentencing. I didn't take it. I didn't want to see her face again. Vanessa Palmer got 8 years in federal prison. Derek got 6. They had to pay restitution to all identified victims, though the lawyers told me we'd likely only recover about 60% of what was stolen. I got Nidio Tuvo Null back. The rest was already spent, moved through offshore accounts, converted into assets that disappeared into the legal system's complexities. Robert Morrison in Seattle called me 3 weeks after the arrest. He'd seen the news coverage. They got her, he said, his voice shaking. After what she did to me, after I thought I'd never see justice, they actually got her. We talked for 2 hours. 2 widowers who'd been lonely and hopeful and foolish enough to think love could find us twice. Your daughter saved you, he said before we hung up. My kids thought I was being ridiculous, dating at my age. Told me I was too old to be thinking about romance. So I didn't tell them about Christine until it was too late. By the time they found out, she'd already emptied my accounts. I called Emily after that conversation. Thank you, I said, for not giving up, for pushing when I didn't want to listen. Dad, you're my person. I'm always going to push. I sold the house 6 months later, not because Vanessa had suggested it, but because Emily was right. It was full of ghosts. I bought a small townhouse in the same neighborhood, close to the park where Patricia and I used to walk. I didn't buy in Breckenridge. I never wanted to see those mountains again. Emily and I have dinner every Sunday now, either at her place when she's in town or over video chat when she's not. She makes me promise once a month that I'll tell her if I start dating again. Just so I can run a background check, she says, trying to make it sound like a joke. We both know it's not. I'm 63 years old. I've been married, buried my wife, almost lost everything to a con artist, and learned that the people who love you are the ones who'll tell you hard truths even when you don't want to hear them. I don't know if I'll ever date again. The thought of trusting someone that way, of being that vulnerable, makes my chest tight. But I do know this. I'm not alone. I have a daughter who flew across the country because 4 words in a text message told her I was in trouble. I have friends from the grief support group, the real ones. The ones who knew Patricia, who remember her laugh and her terrible jokes, and her ability to make anyone feel welcome. That's enough. Maybe it has to be. But sometimes, late at night, I think about that folder of evidence Emily compiled. 72 hours without sleep, running traces and pulling records and calling strangers, all to save her dad from making the biggest mistake of his life. And I think about that email I saw. The mark is ready. That's what I was to Vanessa. A mark, a target, a means to an end. But to Emily, to my real family, I was worth saving. There's a difference between being loved and being useful. Vanessa taught me that. And Emily reminded me which one matters. I still have the recording device Emily gave me. It's in my desk drawer, next to Patricia's wedding ring and the Father's Day card Emily made me when she was 7. Sometimes I take it out and hold it, remembering the weight of it in my pocket during that dinner. The weight of evidence. The weight of truth. the weight of a daughter's love for her father. That weight I'll carry forever. Because wherever you are, whatever age you are, however lonely you feel, I hope you have someone in your life who would spend 72 hours without sleep to save you from yourself. Who would get on a plane? Who would tell you the truth even when it breaks your heart? Real love doesn't tell you what you want to hear. Real love tells you what you need to know. And if you're lucky, really lucky, you'll listen.